Go over anything? Good? Okay, just checking.
Rachel, can you hear me? November 10th, 2022.
Hi there. How are you?
Think you're not muted. Am I muted? Can you hear me? Oh, my sound's off.
I can hear you loud and clear. So far, no problems. Isn't that
Good.
right?
Good
I-
afternoon.
Hi, April.
How are you?
Well, you know, we've had a lot of rain, which is great for gardeners. And
Yes.
I think everybody's feeling a little better about that. And the election is sort of over, sort of not over, at least in,
Yeah.
Right.
I guess lots of places it's not over.
Yeah. Oh, still counting in a lot of places.
Now,
And I'm so sad. I'm happy for you that you're retiring, but I'm sad you'll be leaving LAFCO. We're going to do like a little recognition of your dedicated service, but I do want to say, I hope pretty soon, once we schedule our strategic planning commission, or when we have an in-person meeting, you are invited, and we want to give you a bigger celebration for that.
well, whatever. I assume I'm still part of the workshop.
I would say, but unfortunately that has been canceled. We couldn't get the county members. They couldn't attend, so
It's,
they're requesting we
it's so
reschedule.
busy.
I know.
That's okay. I think the group has worthy goals. I've always thought what we try to do, nobody pays attention to us at all. In the greater frame of things, they don't.
Yeah.
And but it's sort of drudgery, maybe, in a sense of, hey, let's look at sewer service. Let's see whether they can do this or that in that city. Are they overreaching themselves? in trying to do things? Or does this make sense?
Mhm.
And it takes a lot of hiring of people and then listening to them and asking questions.
Mm.
And I think it keeps the county in much better shape than it would be otherwise.
You summed it up pretty well.
It's just, it's too bad. Well, maybe it's a good thing that they don't pay much attention to us. We can do about our work and not feel like everybody's fighting over everything. And the two things that we've had on the ballot that we supported won quite easily. So that's good.
Yes, yeah. That was good outcome.
Absolutely.
Hello, Commissioner Marchand.
Hello, how are you doing today?
Doing all right. So glad to see you.
Always good to be seen. Hang on a second here. Let me change something here. There we go. So how are you doing?
Good, pretty well. Trying to stay warm.
Oh, yeah, come on, it's not that cold. The rain has been delightful, though.
Yes, absolutely. Definitely needed.
Hi, everyone.
Hello.
I may
Hello.
have my camera off because my battery on my laptop is out.
Right, all right.
I'm on slim pickings here.
That just shows how busy you are. You just couldn't quite get to that detail.
I know. Plus, I woke up this morning and my eye the last couple of days has been a little itchy. So I'm hoping I'm not getting like a little eye thing. So that time of the season, I tell you.
I'm afraid it's the season when you can pick up all kinds of things out there.
I know.
Allergies, everything's in bloom.
Mhm.
Well, no, it's just one eye. That's the thing. It's only one eye.
Oh, okay.
I know.
Well, then it could be something. Then it could
Yeah,
be
I think
something.
it
You
might be
might
something
call
else.
your
I'm trying to make a doctor.
optometrist,
Yeah.
but they would be glad to let you know the good or the bad. And do something about it.
Yes, yes, yes.
Splendid, long time no see.
Hi, John. Long time.
Must be what, 4 hours? 3 hours?
A couple hours.
Yeah,
You gotten any older?
a lot. Feels a lot older too. We'll know more by 5 o'clock this afternoon.
Oh, okay.
I think you'll know more also by Monday, 5 o'clock, according to Catherine.
Yeah, but I'd like to know more today too. It's funny how they can take tomorrow off, but then they'll work the weekend. Do you think they work tomorrow instead?
Hey, you worked for the government. You got to explain it to the rest of us. I don't get that either. I don't get that either.
I worked 7 days a week. Everybody talk about, oh, Mondays are bad. Shoot, Monday's just another day because I worked 7 days in a row.
I work 7 days a week too.
Yep. Well, especially in elected office, you work 24/7.
Yeah.
No, that's
We don't
very
have
true.
any time off.
Nope, nope.
Well, the mayor of Dublin has another job on the side.
Yes.
And a freshman in college and my son that's never going to leave home.
Was that a complaint or?
No, he's a good
useful?
kid. I'm
Good.
blessed. I blame it on my Latin roots.
Okay.
Okay, let's see. April, do we have a quorum?
Yes, we do.
All right, shall we get started?
Sure.
Sure. Would you like me to take roll call?
Well, why don't we open the meeting? I don't know if you've let everybody in or not, but that probably would help.
Okay.
And I can,
Everybody's in right now.
so there's no one in public. Is that what you're saying?
Only one member from the public, so
Right.
everyone's in.
And you've let him in, okay, or her in, okay, great, okay. Well, welcome to November.
It's 10.
Rachel, you put September 8th on the top of this, by the way, but we're in November. At least on.
I will say that was a catch, but I do know somewhere November 10th is in there, but my apologies.
Well, welcome to the November 10th LAFCO meeting in Alameda County. April, could you please call the roll?
Yes. Commissioner Hobart. Commissioner Hernandez.
Present.
Commissioner Johnson.
Here.
Commissioner Miley.
Here.
Thank you. Thank you. Commissioner Wieskamp.
Present.
Commissioner Warner.
Here.
Thank you. Chair Splendorio.
Here.
Alternate Commissioner Dave Brown. Alternate Commissioner Carla Brown.
Here. Here.
Alternate Commissioner Marchand.
I am here.
Thank you. Alternate Commissioner Von Heater Leopold.
Here.
Thank you. Let the record reflect, roll call has been taken and we do have a quorum.
Thank you very much, April. Good afternoon. I'm Splendorio and I'm the chair of this commission. I will now call the meeting to order. Today's meeting is being held via Zoom and teleconference. There's no physical location for this meeting. Commissioners will join the meeting via Zoom or telephone. Members of the public may also call or Zoom into the meeting. All meeting participants are asked to please mute yourself unless speaking. I will call on commissioners and the public to speak at the appropriate time. All commission's actions will be taken by a roll call vote. I ask that commissioners identify themselves when making a motion and a second. Okay, so let's take public comment. Is there anyone has indicated public comment, April? You're muted, April.
Apologies, I don't see anybody.
Okay, thank you very much. So let's move on to item 3, which is our consent agenda. Are there any commissioners that would like to pull an item that is on the consent agenda?
And excuse me, Chair.
Yeah.
We do have a recognition of dedicated service. So I do want it to give time. That is agenda item number 3. If we want to save that till the end, we can do that. But we wanted to recognize Commissioners Ann Wieskamp and Bob Warner for
Well,
their.
let's do that right now.
Okay. So we have Commissioner Wieskamp. She will be retiring by the end of December. She has been with the East Bay Regional Park District since 1999 and was appointed to LAFCO in 2008. When I started my time as LAFCO EO, executive officer, Commissioner Wieskamp was chair. She has a passion for her work. She is super dedicated, thoughtful, makes sure that this team stays on track and doesn't get too caught in the weeds and things, and to make sure that we think with our LAFCO hats and provide the most our most resources in the best way that we can. And I'm really saddened to see that Commissioner Wieskamp is retiring, but I just want to wish her congratulations as well, and to send the best regards her way. And then for Commissioner Warner, you stepped up to LAFCO in May of 2021, and you have served on our policy and budget committee, and you just kind of spearheaded your way on this commission and provided very insightful information, feedback, and great, remarkable service to Alameda LAFCO. And again, although your time is shorter, I think you provided a really big impact to this commission. And I can personally say that I will miss having you on this commission. And, you know, whatever the future holds for you, I'm sure it will be bright, and maybe hope to see you around here again in some form or capacity.
Thank you. Now, what I'll do is we can go around, and if anyone has any comments, but if you want, I can start. And to both Ann and Bob, the calling to serve is probably the most important calling that one can have, and that is to serve the public. And you've both been longtime and servants of the people, and been very generous with your time, with your desires, your intellect, and you will be sorely missed by not just those of us here who have relied upon both of you for leadership and wisdom, but also by the public. So we thank you very much for your time. Anybody else want to say anything?
I'll go ahead and weigh in. I first met Ann when she was on the Livermore City Council, and then eventually I ended up on the council, and then started continuing to work with her here on LAFCO. And I've always appreciated her insights and her passion for community service. Bob Werner, I mean, we've been on the council for many years, and he was a great wingman to have with me on the council. He followed me as mayor, and I'm sad that he is leaving the city's council, is leaving as mayor. But I've always appreciated his great insights and his ability to play three-dimensional chess. As I said, he was a great wingman and a great strategist. Taught me one of my favorite expressions: hope is not a strategy. So that's great insight, but I've enjoyed serving with both of them. And I look forward to, you guys aren't going to give up. I know you're still going to be involved, and I look forward to working with you somewhere in the future. Best wishes always. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Anyone? I have Melissa's hand up. Or no, Carla's first. Carla's first. Carla's first. Sorry, Carla, you jumped right after Melissa did.
I gotta be noisier.
No, I saw.
I won't. I won't take long, but I just wanted to say, Ann, thank you. It was nice to get to know you better, even yesterday, as we had a chance to be at the Dueling Canyon Future East Bay Regional Park site, hopefully. And lovely, thank you for your history, even at the event, but all the knowledge that you brought to East Bay Regional Park, and of course to LAFCO. And Bob, I do have a saying for Bob also, other than the hope quote, and this is, I don't do stupid. And I think most of us have heard him say that as well. So I don't do stupid either, but with both of you, I have a wonderful friend that I hope to keep for a long, long time. Thank you for your service.
Okay, and Melissa, you're up next.
No, I would like to say thank you to both of you for your commitment and your service to not only your community, but to the Tri-Valley as well. And I've had the pleasure of knowing Ann a little bit longer and getting some of her insight and wisdom, even from some of the projects that were coming about in Dublin. She knows which one I'm talking about. But no, it's always great to have mentors to look up to, and also great to be able just to call someone for advice. And I know that you have been there, and Bob as well. And it's been great to be able to work with you, not only as a mayor, but through Valley Link and everything that you brought forward to Valley Link to be able to get that project done. You guys will be greatly missed, but I know that we will see you at whether it's a nonprofit organization, fundraiser, or somewhere out to the community. But thank you so much for your dedication. Again, not only to your own cities and to your residents, but to the Tri-Valley.
And I think, let's see, who do we have next? Ralph?
Ann comes from the special districts area, and the special districts family will miss her, and we wish her the best. I also wanted to say thanks to Bob Werner for serving with me on the Policy and Budget Committee. He was very helpful, and I just wish he would stay around and help more. Thanks. That's all.
Thank you, Ralph. Georgine?
Yes, I've known Ann since we first met in the 1980s when we were both on our respective city councils. It's been a long ride, and I'm gonna miss you. I hope everything's well for you in the future. And I've enjoyed working with you over the years. Bob, you are a newer friend to me. I've only known you the last couple of years that you've been mayor, but I definitely appreciated all the work you put into LAFCO. I know both of you love your communities, and will continue working with your communities, maybe not so much on this regional board, but and the special districts are going to miss you, but maybe after, what is it, 8 years, I get to finally run for your seat. Thanks a lot, both of you.
All right, thank you. Is there anyone, Melissa, you still have your hand up? Georgine? You got something else, Melissa?
I'm lowering it. I'm lowering it.
Okay, all right. April, you have your hand up? No, you don't.
Yes, I do. I do. Can you hear me?
Yes,
I want to say thank you so much to both Commissioners Wieskamp and Commissioners Warner. I've only been here a year and a half, but you've always made me feel welcomed in speaking to you. And I really value your experience, your wisdom, all your insights during the meeting. You made things smooth. And you helped us along the way. So I just want to say, I'm going to miss you. We're going to miss you. On behalf of LAFCO, you are greatly appreciated. And we hope to see you soon. I do love gardening. So I go on the parks a lot and I do hiking a lot. So hopefully I'll see you around town sometime. Thank you. Thank you for your service.
thank you, April.
You're welcome.
Okay, anyone else? Well, thank you very much. Great send off. I think it's one of several send offs for both of you. And again, we very much appreciate everything you've done for everyone here, and wish you all the best. Ann, is there anything you want to say, or Bob?
Well, I'll just say thank you guys so much for all your kind comments, and it's been great for me to get to know you all. And LAFCO was a new thing for me, and I've really enjoyed it. So I'm glad I was able to be helpful.
Great. Ann?
Oh, absolutely. Politicians are never at a loss for words. Well, sometimes. Ralph, I'm going to miss the cookie man, though I haven't seen him for a long time. But hopefully you're going to have some real meetings in the future, and Ralph will provide those wonderful cookies. I found out that I was appointed to this when I was in Australia on a tour with my husband. And the rest of the group thought it was weird that I thought going on a little special district thing to one side like LAFCO was better than already serving on a park district. And I told them, it's amazing what an unknown committee can do if they focus on things that are important to the whole county. And that's what I think LAFCO is all about, making sure that things are going in the right direction, that cities are doing the right thing and what they're doing. And didn't we just help get 2 things to pass on the ballot that are very important here, as far as I'm concerned, to the whole county, but particularly to Livermore. So no, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for your all kind words.
Thank you both. Thank you very much both. All right. Let's consider the consent agenda. We have 5 items on that agenda. Does anyone want to pull anything from that agenda? No, I'd entertain a motion.
So move.
Commissioner Wieskamp, a second.
Commissioner Johnson, I'll second that.
Thank you very much, Ralph. Roll call vote, please, April.
Commissioners Hobart. Commissioner Hernandez.
Aye.
Commissioner Johnson.
Aye.
Commissioner Miley.
Aye. Do we have to get public comment on it though? But aye.
It was, Nate, it's a consent agenda. Do you want a public comment?
You generally do.
Okay. We generally have public comment. Usually we don't, but okay, I can.
I don't see any public comment.
All right, well, I think I should at least open it and open the public comment, and there are none, and then close it.
Thank you. Commissioner Wieskamp.
Aye.
Commissioner Warner.
Aye.
Chair Splendorio.
Aye.
Let the record reflect the motion passes.
Thank you. All right, item number 4 is Alameda County's ordinance amending. Sorry, item number 5. Sorry about that. This is an Alameda LAFCO unincorporated island annexation. The Alameda Local Agency Formation Commission will consider the establishment and initiation of an unincorporated island annexation program. The program would address the number of unincorporated islands within and adjacent to unincorporated cities in Alameda County and provide a fiscal profile of each unincorporated island that will include a map of each island, overview of demographical data, list of current service providers, and cost of revenue analysis. I'll turn it back over to Rachel.
Thank you, Chair. So as the chair explained, this item is for the commission to review and discuss the establishment of this unincorporated island annexation program. The draft work program will identify possible unincorporated island annexation areas, provide a detailed schedule of outreach and coordination with affected agencies, create fiscal profiles of each area, address potential jurisdictional issues, and include estimated LAFCO costs along with city incentives to try and promote these annexations. Overall, this is kind of just a rough outline. So staff requests the commission review and discuss the establishment of the program and provide any comments or feedback before staff returns the item to the commission, probably in late spring of next year. And with that, I'll just keep it short and sweet, and I'll return the item to the chair.
All right, thank you very much. I appreciate that. So discussion. This may be new to some of you commissioners, what an island is. I mean, would it be perhaps, if I can impose on Rachel, give a little bit of background on island annexations and why LAFCO seems to think that we should be dealing with them?
Absolutely. So islands usually are kind of what we would say maybe donuts within cities that are unincorporated areas within cities or abut cities that are substantially surrounded by them. Often they confuse services between these jurisdictional areas. So if you have a donut, then a lot of city services, most likely, they're the first response to these unincorporated islands. So it kind of just makes LAFCO sense to reduce resources to have those islands annexed into those surrounding or contiguous cities nearby. There are a few within Alameda County, and we are looking to map all of them and to kind of figure out and telegraph a plan to have them annexed. And I see a couple of questions from commissioners.
Okay, so can I also just ask before we call on the commissioners, could you explain why is it that the Hertzberg Act requires us to deal with islands?
It from a LAFCO standpoint, it's trying to streamline services. It creates a confusion amongst agencies if you have these unincorporated islands, and most likely if an island denotes most likely that there are an urban type area. You can't tell the difference between an unincorporated island area and that of a city. So with that, it makes sense to have that island annexed because you're lessening the jurisdictional issues. So let's say if someone wanted to call 911 and they are in an unincorporated island, the first service responder most likely would not be the county sheriff's department. It would be the city police department. So that's taking resources away from the city. And we're, as LAFCO, we want to have boundaries that look clean and where services match the services that are being provided. So the state encourages that unincorporated islands are annexed into that city.
Great, thank you very much. All right, let's go for some questions here. Commissioner Warner, you're first.
What about peninsulas? You said substantially. So you're including peninsulas as well, right?
So I guess I would need to understand figure out the definition of a peninsula for at least this commission. Our definition of substantially surrounded is about 2/3. So if a city surrounds an unincorporated island by 2/3, that says to us that that area is an island. For a peninsula, depending how that looks.
Well, that would be the
Okay.
the definition. Island means traditionally 100% surrounded by water,
Mhm,
and a
mhm.
peninsula means 2/3, right? So I'm saying, so you're including peninsulas. I
Yes.
just wanted to make sure. So that the definition is 2/3.
Yes.
Okay, it's because we have in Livermore an example, the properties along Buena Vista
Mhm.
that are like, they're pretty much substantially higher than 2/3 surrounded by the city.
There's also an example from Livermore that was a few years back, Bob, was Pleasant View Lane, which is off of Arroyo. And that was eventually annexed through an island annexation after some negotiation of payment for mostly sewer extension from Arroyo through that. I think it was 8 homes. I can't remember exactly how big it is there, but that was an island that had existed obviously for a very long time. So there's plenty of examples, and we deal with them in the past. So
yeah, there's another example though that what Rachel said was you can't tell the difference between the
Right.
one street and the next. But I think, as I recall, there's an island within the city that's the county, but it isn't developed. I mean, it's got some facilities on it or something. So that's not included in this.
that would be included.
Oh, okay. So it's really, the definition is this 2/3 surrounding, and that's it. It's nothing else in terms of whether they're houses or development or facilities or anything.
It's 2/3.
Okay.
All right, Commissioner Miley?
Yes, I was, the only question I had for Rachel is, I don't have a problem with what we're going to be doing, but for instance, I'm just going to use a Riemann track as an example in the city of Pleasanton, which is surrounded by the city on all sides. Will the folks still who are within the island still have the ability to vote to come in or to be annexed, or would we be taking the authority to just annex them?
So LAFCO, we have no authority actually in
Okay.
annexing for annexations and unincorporated islands. We are able to streamline it. There are certain factors where we can streamline the process where we don't have to go through protest proceedings, but we would need an application from either a landowner or that of the annexing city. LAFCO, our hands are tied, but what we will do in this program is outreach to those communities to let them know their options.
Okay, because I'm just using the Riemann track as an example because I know there's been efforts to try to get them to annex into Pleasanton. It makes a lot of sense, but I know they've refused. So I just wanted to kind of make sure I'm clear that, once again, folks would have to approve it. Okay, thanks.
Commissioner
Commissioner
Miley, I would
Brown?
add that,
Oh, Andrew, sorry, Andrew.
yeah, islands meeting certain definitions, if there's an application from the city to annex them, the law requires LAFCO to approve that application without going through the protest proceedings. And there are various criteria that those islands has to satisfy. The kind of marquee ones that they're less than 150 acres in size, that they're generally developed, they're not prime ag land. But if an application like that comes forward, the commission must approve it. So if an application for a substantially surrounded area or completely surrounded area doesn't meet those criteria, then the commission would have discretion and it would go through the protest proceeding. So I did want to draw that distinction.
Okay, thanks, but that application would have to be submitted by the city of Pleasanton
Correct.
for the Bremen track. Okay, all right, just asking the question so I know what to expect. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Commissioner Brown.
Yeah, thank you. And the Raymond track was on one of my questions. But we do, the Raymond track, for example, it's clearly different than the cities and communities around it. It does not have sidewalks. It does not have drainage. And in some cases, it may not even have public water or sewer. So who's going to pay for the connection, which can easily be $100,000 for both the water and sewer connection if a community of, I don't know, Raymond tract might be 50 homes. That's a lot of expenses. Who would carry that cost?
That would have to be determined between the county and the city to figure that out, and the residents, where we could find out a fiscal analysis to see what those costs entail and how to kind of make those cities whole. Hopefully, you know, property taxes, once annexed, will support and help kind of subsidize some of those costs. But to see the other ones, you know, we would have to see a report on that.
Yeah, I just don't know how it's going to work. And then many of the homeowners in the past have said they do not want annexation because they strongly believe that their property taxes are going to go up. So you're asking people to maybe put in enough money for sewer and water, and then also an annual increase in property taxes. I think it's just a tough sell. I'm all for studying it. And it's been a desire for the city of Pleasanton to incorporate the Raymond tract. Another area, if we're going to bring it back for discussion, is these pre-annexation agreements we have in Happy Valley. So if somebody who's in the county agrees to water sewer, they pay the $100K to get it, and the services are offered to them. They've been signing pre-annexation agreements. I've heard two different answers, and maybe Andrew can help us, but one is that they're unenforceable and others that they are enforceable. So I'd love to know that. And if they agree on these pre-annexation agreements, do I now have to provide drainage for gutters and sidewalks for them? Just a question. And then another question, if we bring this back, is if there is, let's just say for math, 50 homes, what percentage of those homeowners, if any, need to agree that they're interested in incorporation to be incorporated into the city? Is it a simple majority, or do you need 90% or 80%? Because we have some people that have lived there forever. They feel they're living on farmland and they have no interest, and they'll actually be quite obstinate about it. So those are just, oh, and one last, and then I'll be quiet. My last one is Steel Wave. So Steel Wave is an adjacent property. They have one common portion of their approximate rectangle parcel. So I'm not sure if they're a peninsula, but they're clearly adjacent, and they are considering a development project. I don't know who's going to give them sewer and water. I'd certainly prefer to incorporate them and go through the city process instead of around the city. But if you just are adjacent, but not really a peninsula, like a 2/3 surrounded peninsula, what would we do with those parcels? Those are my questions. And I feel happy to come back when there's a full, longer, detailed staff report as well. Thanks.
Thank you, Commissioner. So for the pre-annexation agreement, that runs with the deed of the property. It generally is enforceable as long as the city continues to provide service to that property. For the question in regards to the pre-annexation agreements with the majority, so if residents sign those pre-annexation agreements, if an application to LAFCO came for this unincorporated island annexation, those residents cannot protest against that island. So that's what that means. When you have a pre-annexation agreement, you can't protest against that, the annexing. And for that, I guess you wouldn't need a majority. It's just kind of looking at the threshold for protest proceedings. For the other, I'm trying to,
Also, it's Raymond Track and they don't have annexation agreements or virtually have none. And it's
Well,
about,
some of them have pre-annexation agreements through out of area service agreements. So that's saying that, you know, if an annexation application were to come to LAFCO, then they can't protest that. For the development one, I need to be a little bit clearer on that one. I guess through the mapping, we would see what is taken in and what's taken out. I can't say I know that property, like I can't see it right now. But I would have to get back to you. But, you know, it could be, I mean, if it fits the definition of an island, then obviously, yes, that would be included. If it's on the outskirts, most likely it would not, but I just can't picture where it is right now to answer that.
it's over by the chain of lakes, just for the future. It's in East Pleasanton over just outside near our transfer station. Okay. All right. I think you covered it. Thank you, April.
Commissioner Brown, I would add that the commission previously authorized studies of Happy Valley, Island, and the Riemann Tract that I think were conducted prior to you joining the commission.
Mm-hmm.
About the cost questions that you had, but what infrastructure would need to be added. Those were conditions of prior out of area service agreement approvals.
So if I can ask Andrew or April, could perhaps locate those past studies and pass them on to city or to Commissioner Brown and or the Pleasanton staff, so because maybe there isn't, maybe they didn't retain copies of those. It might be worth looking at.
I do not have copies of those. It would be appreciated, but let's just pick a number. It's $5 million. Who carries that cost? And really, I think that's one of the reasons many of these communities have remained donuts, is because they don't want the cost. We don't want the cost. And quite honestly, the county's collected the property taxes and provided these services, or they're on wells. So it's messy. Let me just say that it's messy, but inexpensive. Right. I look forward to the report. Thank you.
I also add that I don't know the exact number, Commissioner Brown, but in Raymond Track and in Happy Valley, it's slightly under 50% have signed pre-annexation agreements. Because that means that half of that percentage are receiving city services at this point. Because they ask for out of service area agreements. That's usually the process. I'm sure that Rachel could provide the exact properties and some sort of census of which ones are using city services and which aren't.
Yeah, what do I do with the other 50% though?
So yeah, maybe a little bit more history. I don't know, maybe John, this is what you were going to do, but this is about maybe 7, 8, 9 years ago. We learned that the city was providing services to several property owners within Happy Valley and Raymond Track and other areas of Pleasanton, if you may remember this. And it had collected actually fees for out of service area agreement, had never come to LAFCO. So we went through a process of approving all those. Because obviously the homeowners were concerned that, you know, they could get turned off because they didn't have permission. So we think we fixed all those again several years ago. So that's why we have a pretty good idea of, or at least a better, more than a pretty good. We should know exactly which properties have out of service area agreements and which ones don't, which ones are connected, et cetera.
Great, thank you.
All right, Commissioner Marchand.
Yeah, thank you. Actually, having survived two donuts, two island annexations that we did, Hilliker Place was one a number of years ago, where the city had one overlay of zoning and the county had another, and they were trying to come in under one zoning, and the city was looking for the other one. So it was kind of a really interesting way of bringing that one in. Pleasant View Lane, that was really a public health concern because septic tanks were failing. So there was a greater urgency on that. Unfortunately, the county was willing to step up and help fund some of that, those connections. But in that case, in Pleasant View Lane, it was a majority. It didn't require 80% or 90%. It was just simple majority. And fortunately, we just got that, but it was understanding that this was a one-time deal and it was only going to get more expensive and actually created greater public health concerns. So those are two annexations that we were able to bring in, and they're very successful. So you've got to work with the community and make sure that they understand how important this is. And yeah, it is messy, Mayor Brown, I'll grant you that, but sometimes these things you have to do.
John, did you provide sidewalks and street drainage as well?
Mayor Warner, I believe that was all part of the agreement. That was part of the bringing the sidewalks and the drainage because we had to.
Bob, you're on mute if you're.
You're on mute, Bob.
No, I was just waiting to be. Shall I go next as
Yeah,
well?
You're next.
You're next.
I think that's the case, but I just wanted to kind of summarize what I think I've heard. If I look at what the item says here, the last one is cost and revenue analysis. So I think that's meant to be inclusive of all the factors that we've heard various people ask about in detail. Is that correct?
Yep.
So what I understand what this item is put together all of the puts and takes associated with this. It's not a means that, as Commissioner Miley pointed out, it doesn't mean that will happen. It just sets up the data to allow people to rationally decide what to do. And what I think I've heard is that we need to get into all these details because they do impact the costs and the benefits that people might see. And lastly, I think what I just heard, John, you say that there was some issue with respect to the zoning that might be different. And I don't see that in the list of items in 5. So is that something that has to be considered as well?
This was something I think that was unique to Hilliker Place because, as was pointed out, the housing and the neighborhoods are fairly consistent to what's around that donut. So, but Hilliker Place was a kind of a different animal. There was a lot of open space up there.
And okay, so it doesn't have to be included in the list, but on these costs and Carla's question of who pays, it does seem that that's the problem in general, is that the way these places have developed county is that they don't have the amenities that would normally be in a city. And so who's going to bear that cost? And I think it really comes down to, is there an injection from the county to cover this? And maybe not, I don't know.
Well,
I'm asking Rachel, I think is.
So staff is including jurisdictional issues such as zoning within this process, and what would it take to get the zoning matched up to the city for these unincorporated areas. Usually when, at least when LAFCO receives an application from a city, that area has to be pre-zoned to fit the annexing area. So that will be a factor that we look at. LAFCO is trying to look at city incentives and costs to reduce those expenses to those cities in annexing. So that could be, cutting away LAFCO fees for these annexations. So that will be also provided in this work program.
Okay.
I think another mechanism that was used was that on those fees or the costs could be recovered when the property either was sold or changed title. So that was one of the mechanisms to recover those costs. So it wouldn't be borne at the time by the property owners, but when that property changed hands.
So thank you. Are there any other commissioners? I'd like to see if there's any public comment to this.
We do have one public speaker.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Brio? You have 3 minutes to speak. Mr. Brio, please unmute your mic.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, when people started talking about unincorporated islands, I took those words literally, very literally. And I immediately thought of a place called Jersey Island. That's not in Alameda County, by the way. Jersey Island is next to Bethel Island. It's in the Delta, and it's part of Contra Costa County. But be that as it may, it's an island. And the incorporation of Jersey Island into the city of Oakley, in this case, will lead to hundreds or maybe thousands of new housing units being constructed out there on the island, along with improved levees and dikes and sewage service and everything you can, God knows, it's a massive development. So I thought, when LAFCO is talking about annexations of unincorporated islands, that's what you're doing. Well, maybe you're not doing that, but certainly I think we need to realize that this is just LAFCO's principal role function in life is to facilitate and enhance and promote urban growth and support developers, and by annexing unincorporated islands, you kind of promote development, and you blur over the urban growth boundaries. That might be a good thing, might be a bad thing, but it certainly promotes development. And when it comes to this kind of development, though, I'd like to point out the benefits of this, development that the cities are doing. The city of Livermore, the city of Pleasanton, the city of Hayward, the city of whoever. These people, when you go out to the county area, which could be 500 feet from the unincorporated area, might be 500 feet from the city limit, you all of a sudden get no sidewalks, you get no drainage, and you get telephone poles in the middle of the dirt sidewalk kind of thing. There is no sidewalk on the side of the street. So if we could have the cities take over all these unincorporated urban areas and bring them the benefits of sidewalks, of drainage, of no telephone poles in the middle of the sidewalk, of having a real municipal infrastructure, not this kind of shoddy stuff that the Alameda County Public Works Agency is doing, that would be a wonderful thing. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other public comment?
We do not have any other comments.
Let's close the public comment. So let's, any further commission discussion or entertain a motion?
Chair, no motion is required.
Okay.
Staff is just receiving comments and feedback right now, and
Understood.
okay.
Right. Well, thank you very much for putting this together, April and Rachel.
Sure.
Appreciate it very much. And let's move on to item number 6. This is the Alameda LAFCO will consider establishing an ad hoc selection committee to evaluate requests for proposals for professional auditing services. The committee will recommend a firm to the commission at its next regular meeting for the completion of our audit report for fiscal years 21, 22, and 2023. So the recommendation is to select 2 commissioners to create this ad hoc selection committee and direct and the committee to return to the commission with a recommended contract award at the next regular meeting, which would be in January. I don't know if we need Rachel to give us a report. Obviously, we need to have an audit done. We need to select an auditing firm. That's the point here. So I'm looking for if anybody would like to have a report or further discuss this. Otherwise, I'll be looking for volunteers.
So this is Commissioner Johnson. I'll volunteer to be on the committee.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner Johnson. And Georgina, you got your hand up?
Yeah, I'll volunteer also.
Thank you very much. Any discussion about this? We have 2 volunteers. too capable. And I can't remember the last committee we had for auditor. Did either one of you serve on that subcommittee?
Commissioner Von Heater Leopold did.
Yes, I thought she did. Great. All right, any further discussion? Okay, can I open the public hearing and see if there's any comments from the public?
There are no comments from the public, Chair.
All right, thank you. So can we entertain a motion, please, to appoint Commissioners Von Heater Leopold and Commissioner Johnson as the ad hoc committee?
Hernandez will motion, and thank you both for stepping up.
Thank you very much. Commissioner Hernandez, a second, please.
A second.
Commissioner Wieskamp, thank you very much. Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Hopper. Commissioner Hernandez.
Aye.
Commissioner Johnson.
Oh, aye.
Commissioner Miley. Commissioner Wieskamp.
Aye.
You called my name, right?
Yes, sir. Commissioner Miley.
Aye. Couldn't
Thank
get
you.
there fast enough. Bye.
Thank you. Commissioner Warner.
Yes.
Chair Splendorio.
Aye.
Let the record reflect the motion passes.
Thank you very much. Let's go to item number 7. A proposed revisions on scope for analysis of the South Livermore Valley Agricultural Plan Study. LAFCO will consider revisions to the scope of the analysis of the South Livermore Valley Area Plan study to effectuate progress going forward. And this is probably best, but it's supposed to be a retrospective of a plan that was put into place in 1993. And I'm sure Commissioners Marchand and Wieskamp and probably Commissioner Miley have some remembrance of all that. This includes updating the study timeframe to incorporate post-COVID data, providing profit margins on agricultural businesses on a key metric for economic viability, and assessing infrastructure needs like public water service for successful implementation of the SLVAP study. So the recommendation is provide staff, and again, we're asking for input here. And I'll first call on, should there be a staff report? Rachel, do you want to provide any?
That's up to you, Chair. I am fine with holding that staff report if everyone's clear.
Is everyone clear? Is there anyone, first me ask, does anyone would like the staff report? Okay, Commissioner Warner, you have your hand up.
I just want to say, this is what we've been talking about for a few commission meetings, and I think it's the same thing we said we would do when we were supporting the Measure D, et cetera, right? So I think we should be all familiar with this. Is what's being proposed. Let me put it this way. Is there any difference in what's being talked about here with what we've already discussed a few times?
Excuse me, Commissioner, I would just say right now, after we had a public review and comment period, we added and incorporated comments from the City of Livermore and Tri-Valley Conservancy to update that proposed the scope of analysis. So right now we've added all these new kind of trends and factors to include in that scope, and just wanted to get one final say and have the commission review that to make sure we have the go ahead and that this scope looks good moving forward.
Okay, I think the key here request that coming in from the comments was to make sure we looked at profit margins, you know, the net, not just the revenue, right? That was the key. The others are, I think, straightforward as well, right?
Correct, and that's included in the revised revision.
Yeah, so I'll just say from my perspective, I'm good with doing this.
Okay, great. Any other comments from the commission? Okay, seeing none, let me invite if there are any public comment to this agenda item.
There are no public comments, Chair.
All right, then I'll close the public comment. And so is there any action required here, Rachel?
No.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate, as I also had the same concern that the TVC and City of Livermore or that, and a lot of the wine growers, that there needs to be a study of economic viability, which includes, of course, profit profit margin. It's just not about studying revenue. Revenue doesn't tell you a whole lot because that doesn't, it's about how much money you make, not how much you happen to gross. So I appreciate that very much. That we've added that feature to the scope.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Okay. Number 8, matters initiated by members of the commission. Do we have any? Well, I have something to raise. And this is based upon was what I understand, and Andrew, I'm going to call on you to confirm this, that the state of emergency is going to end on February 28th next year, which means that we have to go, in essence, we have to go back to public hearings in person. And we were not be allowed to use Zoom, except for the old Brown Act allowances if you post at a public place that some of us have used in the past. Is that, Andrew, the correct understanding?
So the emergency rules under which you've been operating, those expire at the end of 2023, and in large part, though, are conditioned upon the existence of the state of emergency. So if the state of emergency is in fact lifted on February 28th, as the governor indicated, then your commission would need to return to in-person meetings. There was legislation that passed, AB 2449, that expanded the circumstances under which teleconference can occur. It permitted members of legislative bodies to, for what it describes as just cause, appear remotely for meetings. And there are a variety of circumstances that create just cause. But those are exceptions. Generally, the rule would be in-person meetings again. So that is something that your commission would need to plan for.
And that's what I'm raising it is, I think at this point, we need to start looking at locations and, if we can go back to Dublin, San Ramon Services District or the city of Dublin or any other place. That's the reason I'm asked is opening this up is we need to start looking.
I would add, though, that there is no prohibition on the use of Zoom for the public attending. And so you could conduct what is being called a hybrid meeting, where the public could participate and offer public comment via Zoom with the commissioners in person at a single meeting location.
And I think that's perhaps, I'd love to get input from the elected officials is that wise? Because that would mean that whatever location we look at would have to have the capability of allowing the use of electronic media for the public to attend. And Commissioner Warner, do you have any comments?
Yeah, you asked if it was wise. So maybe I'll be wise in my response. We are all talking about climate action plans, minimizing miles traveled. We're talking about efficiency with our time. There's no argument that would say that it's better globally for the environment or anything that says prohibiting hybrid meetings makes sense. So in other words, everything I see says hybrid is the right way to go. And it would be incumbent upon legislative bodies to figure out how to do it. There's certainly that we know the technology is capable, and the bottom line is that it's better for the world if hybrid is enabled. So the government agencies should invest in the ability to do that, and we do have facilities existing right now that are capable. So that's my 2 cents on it.
Thank you, Commissioner Warner. Any other comments?
Glenn, sorry to raise
Yes, Melissa. Yes.
I would suggest that I have never been to a live meeting in LAFCO, obviously. But I would suggest, I don't know how you guys did it before. Did everybody rotate?
You mean the location?
Mm-hmm.
No,
Or-
well,
We met at DSRSD.
yeah.
All the time.
Well, no, there was times after the flooding, We went to your city council chambers for a few meetings. And we have had meetings on the other side of the Hayward Hills for particular purposes. So we have done that, but typically it was in the Tri-Valley where we met.
Yeah, I can reach out to my staff and offer our facility as well. Maybe have a few in Dublin and have a few at DSRSD, and I'm sure we can all pitch in and figure it out.
Yes, I appreciate that. That's very much appreciated. So
We've had with the Martinelli Center too.
Yep. That's a long time ago. Thank you. That was a very long time ago.
That's where we had our retreats.
Yes.
That's right.
We used to have our retreats there.
Great work was done. That work was recognized by Cal LAFCO. We received an award for that.
Yeah, we did. That's what Rachel is aiming for, to get us an award. Okay, so I'm glad I raised it, Rachel, because I think, like I said, we need to, I mean, at some point, we're gonna have to go back live, so we might as well start planning for it.
Well, staff is definitely planning for this ahead of time. We wanted to have our strategic planning meeting in person, so we are working on getting that done.
Okay, great. Okay, executive officer report. Oh, something, oh, sorry, Ann.
I don't know if anybody's discussed it, but sometimes all of you who will be here on LAFCO, someone is ill in a way that they do not want to go, but they would like to participate. I think we ought to think about, is it possible to get permission to continue to do that?
I believe, Commissioner, in that new bill, and Andrew, I think SB 2449, if I'm saying that correctly. There are opportunities for commissioners to receive kind of like an exception and to be able to attend Zoom meetings for an emergency or a medical emergency. Or
I think that makes sense. Yes, good.
Okay, so I suspect that whether the League of Cities or someone is going to come up with a nice guide that helps us figure out when you can, when you can't. Maybe at some point, Rachel or Andrew, can you circulate that? So maybe, or give us a January talk to us about, so we're all prepared. We understand what we can and can't do.
Okay.
Commissioner Hernandez, you have your hand back up?
That's exactly what some of the boards are already doing, Splend. So I'm also on the board of League of Cities, but yeah, that's definitely what's going to happen. Some boards are deciding actually just to keep their old rules in place and change it and tweak their own bylaws and not adding the other two acts that are going in, just because they're little. I guess when it came out, they made it sound like it was meant for a council of 5. So it's being looked into.
Okay, so maybe we don't have to reinvent the wheel.
Correct.
Okay.
And then, excuse me, Chair, there does seem to be a comment from the public on this. So.
Okay. I see that from April. I see the note there.
Dr. Ann Morris, would you like to speak?
Yes, thank you for taking my comment. I just want to speak up as just a member of the public, and I just want to offer my support to the LAFCO staff and the commissioners when they consider having hybrid meetings. There's also there's another California Senate bill. It's the SB 1000, and that has to do with helping residents who don't normally participate in the public process. And in my neighborhood in particular, we have a lot of people that may not have a car, so they couldn't go, or they might be disabled. And so I just really want to support and encourage LAFCO in maintaining the meeting so that, all the public can participate who has access to the internet. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Doctor. We appreciate your comment.
We have one more public comment, Chair.
Yes.
Mr. Abreu, you have 3 minutes to speak.
Thank you. On this topic of hybrid meetings, there are a few agencies, maybe Zone 7 at the regular meetings, maybe the East Bay Regional Park District meetings are hybrid. They do allow the people to walk in and people to teleconference in, and also the Board of Supervisors of the Alameda County. But this word hybrid is being used very loosely. It's being and what happens is that the staff of some of these agencies, not just those but other agencies too, will point to the difficulty of doing hybrid meetings, which it's really complicated because in fact the city of Fremont says that they're doing hybrid meetings when in fact they're not, because the only people who get to be in the room are the staff and the politicians, and everybody else, the public, is kept out of the room. By the way, I think the city of Pleasanton does a pretty good job of hybrid meetings from what I've seen. It looks like people can walk in to some of their meetings and teleconference in. So, but the city of Fremont, no, the public is excluded, and they still pretend like they're doing hybrid meetings. So, in the what is the saying about the perfect is the enemy of the good? Everyone is looking for this perfect hybrid meeting setup, and all the staff is, of course, telling you that you can't do it because it's so difficult administratively and logistically, which might be true. So my suggestion, if staff can't do hybrid meetings, which they might, maybe it's too hard, then alternate back and forth. Do some in person, do some teleconferencing, and just keep going back and forth occasionally. Try both ways, and don't even try to do a hybrid if it's too hard for your staff. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your comments. Back to Executive Officer report. Rachel.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to provide a report on an update, just a small update on a preliminary comprehensive fiscal analysis study. Right now, we have our consultant, Richard Berkson from Berkson Associates, doing the data collection phase, reaching out to county departments and creating our maps for these models of looking at the unincorporated areas of Castro Valley, San Lorenzo, Fairview, Cherryland, and Ashland and Fairview Acres. So it's nothing to report yet, but we're also looking to have the consultant form kind of a small study group or kind of a pre-workshop with members maybe of the Ag Advisory Committee in early January or early February of next year. And then as for the update on the Community Services Municipal Service Review, we've been hearing that it has been very difficult for LAFCOs to receive good, robust proposals from consultants on these MSRs right now, given that for whatever reason, they have a huge workload. So staff is doing one final MSR, sending that out to hopefully get some good proposals for this MSR. And then if we do not receive that, we most likely will pivot and see if we have to reduce our study area, maybe to just the Tri-Valley area. And then our next MSR could be for the western region of the county. So we're just trying to figure that out, but we do have one final RFP going out before going back to the commission to see if there is some other option we need to figure out.
Thank you. Any questions of Rachel? Thank you. Informational items. I know you've got a couple things to talk about there.
So we did have the legislative update. I think we handled most of that in matters initiated by the commission. But for the Cal LAFCO conference, we at least 2 members of staff, and we had 3 commissioners attend the Cal LAFCO annual conference in Newport Beach. It was a wonderful program. It was nice to attend that post-COVID. We had really great attendance, and I would like to have any of the commissioners in attendance to provide kind of any feedback to the commission on their experience at the conference.
Or I could call on Georgine first.
Yes, it really was a very good conference. They actually had 47 of 58 counties represented, which is one of the highest. I think people were actually looking forward to seeing each other. The most fun in person, that is. The most fun I had, though, was they did a sort of a mock public hearing on annexation of a fire district, or the forced annexation of a fire district.
Oh, my.
It was
It was a
hilarious.
dissolution. It was a dissolution, I believe.
Dissolution, okay.
Sounds familiar.
Anyway, I don't know if they had people planted in the audience.
They did.
or-
No, they did.
You think those were plants?
Yeah, they had a script. Yeah. There was,
And of
some
course-
people ad-libbed.
Yes, there was a whole bunch of ad-libbing, and it was all the things we heard at our meeting for Fairview. But it was really kind of fun to see that everybody else goes through the same thing in the LAFCO process. But they had great speakers, and the food wasn't bad. And I found another good location close to the airport for a CASA meeting. So I enjoyed it thoroughly.
Thank you. Commissioner Johnson, you have any comments?
Sure. I'll kind of echo Georgine's comments. It was a great conference. I had a chance to talk with a guy by the name of Eric May. Andrew knows him. He's the legal counsel from Yolo County. And Andrew, he said he missed you.
Nice of him.
That's it.
Okay, how about April? Do you have any comments? Any reflection?
I had a great time. A couple of takeaways. I enjoyed meeting our commissioners in person. It's always nice to see people after COVID and just hang out with them during the conferences. I was a newbie, one of the newer people there. So after a year and a half of working with LAFCO, it was great to get an overview from the different sessions from LAFCO 101. We even had our executive officer, Rachel, give a presentation on recruitment and successive planning. So she did a great job with that. And then just everything, we got to meet the executive director, the new executive director, Renee LaRoche, and many of the members are very engaging, approachable, and very helpful. So we made a lot of connections and I had a great time.
Thank you. And Rachel, any comments or reflections?
It was just very good to be back and to experience that again. And hopefully we'll get more commissioners in attendance for the next conference that will be held in Monterey of next year. So hope this will encourage you to attend, because usually they're really informative and fun workshops and sessions to attend.
And then I have a couple of comments that I realized how much respected that Rachel is amongst her fellow executive officers, and we should be very proud to have her as our executive officer. So that was great to hear from some folks. And I will echo Georgine's comment that the best program was that on Friday morning with the mock hearing, because it combined a lot of the issues and law with a bit of drama to make it much more interesting. Sometimes it can be pretty dry, let's be honest. And that was great. They should do that again. If they can, do it again, something like that.
Well, it was also an extremely good learning tool for people, because all of the objections or the comments from the audience were things that in fact had nothing whatsoever to do with what was happening. And of course, a lot of it did too, but a lot of the staff, a lot of the mock commission didn't even realize some of the issues. So yeah, it was very, very much fun, very informative.
Great. Okay, great. Okay, anything else for uninformational items?
One last thing, Chair, is that we do have to cancel our strategic planning workshop on December 7th.
Noted.
Our commission clerk, April Rafael, she's sending out notice to try to find and reschedule for new dates in February of next year. So hang on tight. Thank you for your patience, and hopefully we'll get a date confirmed by next week.
Great, thank you. Well, if there's nothing else.
Splend, actually, Rachel, if you could send me, I apologize for being late, but any reports that were made, any presentations that were not included in the original packet, if you could send me them, I would really appreciate that.
Okay, yes, Commissioner.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Albert. Okay, if there's nothing else, we stand adjourned.
All right.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Rachel, April, thank you so much for all your help. You do a
Thank you,
great
Ann.
job.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank
pleasure.
you. And
Who knows, maybe I'll come watch you sometime.
please,
We hope so. Bye.
bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.